Lawrence Gunther was the co-host of the AMI travel special Postcards from the Yukon, and he's a regular contributor on Live from Studio 5.
And now he's a filmmaker. He created and wrote the documentary What Lies Below. Through a lifetime spent in the great outdoors and on the water fishing, Lawrence noticed remarkable changes to Canada's waters.
And not good changes. This sparked Lawrence's curiosity to learn more, and we can find out what he learned when the documentary airs on AMI later this week.
But before that, Lawrence invited Ottawa presenter Shelby Travers to his home office to talk about the process of creating this important film.
Every stream, river, lake, and bay in Canada has a story, and someone just waiting to tell it.
With our guide dogs at our feet, I talked to Lawrence Gunther about the story he had to tell.
Lawrence, what is your film about, and what inspired you to create it?
What Lies Below is a collection of stories that I'm trying to help tell. It's stories of people who live by the water, from the water. The Inuit, First Nations, Indigenous people from across Canada, traditional fishermen off the East Coast, the West Coast, people in the middle of Canada. It's people who really care about the water and the fish and the ecosystems, and it's their story.
Most of the destruction to the environment is under the water.
The three things that really touched me in the film were the issues that are struggling with environmental changes, the oil sands, and the different communities with Indigenous people. What were the three things that you really hoped would convey to the public, and what you hope will continue to convey to the public?
I think just the honesty of the people. Just the sincerity that these are real people with real stories, and it's their lives. They're not talking about speaking points. It's not rehearsed lines. It's not getting their message out, and it's just another opportunity for them to advance their agenda. These are people whose lives are at stake. Their traditions, whether it's Indigenous or whatever, it's people who have spent time, generations on the land by the shore, and they want to have that for their children and their children's children, and that's what their agenda was. Really, it's just their life, right? Their life, and maybe some money, maybe they could make some money at it, but it was also their way of life.
Yeah.
These are people that, for the most part, that I interviewed, they were born on the land, right? They were born outside of communities. They remembered what it was like to just be in nature and just to harvest and live with nature, and that's been taken away from them.
I've been fishing since I was 12.
Yeah, on the boats?
Yeah, my dad taught us how.
And Lawrence, what is one thing that you hope that people take from your film and do themselves to contribute to change?
Tell their story. You know, everyone's got a story about their water, about the way they grew up, their relationships. You know, we all evolved by shorelines. For thousands of generations, we evolved along shorelines. It's the place where really nature comes together, these two worlds come together, and it's so important for us to have that connection and to make that connection and pass that opportunity on to our children and grandchildren and just keep that experience alive. We need to stay connected and tell that story to others about how we're connected to nature, because those are the people that will become the real stewards and champions of nature.
Lawrence, what's next for you? What plans do you have to continue this message that you want to grow?
I think the whole idea of environmental documentaries, they've played their role, and I think people are a little bit fed up with being preached at about, you know, the sky is falling, right? And no one wants to hear that anymore. And I think what people want now is like, how do I make a difference? And everyone, I don't think there's any more climate deniers, very few of them, climate change deniers, but people want to know, well, what can I do? And without freaking me out, without making me feel like I just want to go stick my head in the sand, what can I do? So, you know, we're starting this new series called Lake to Plate. And I'm taking chefs, you know, who talk about eating and harvesting sustainable fish and serving it in their restaurants, and I'm taking them out and I said, look, let's go do it. Let's go actually out and do it. And I teach them, not just with a fishing rod, but with their whole body, how to connect with the water and the ecosystem and harvest sustainably using Indigenous and local knowledge and science. And then we forage some food out of the forest, and we put together a shore lunch. And then we celebrate everybody who's connected with that body of water, and we invite them to come for the celebratory meal, and we eat nature.
Well, thank you so much, Lawrence, for chatting with me. It's been a really big pleasure.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
This documentary first aired on CBC, and you'll be able to check it out right here on AMI TV on Saturday, February 3rd. Make sure to check it out.